I get a motion to the sheet? Second. For discussion.
I have a question. The question originally we talked about this was going to be at the very entrance to the bay. So my question would be, will the roads just move outside, for instance, where Cojo is anchored now, and be outside of the designated anchorage area?
So you'd like us to decide on the boat's behalf what the psychology is going to be? That's a difficult one.
Just a question, just as we talked about this, you have this take the definite risk that could be what happened.
A tiny bit of history, and then one of where this ended up. I put through 3 different options that we were hoping. The first would be blocking off all the way through Twin Islands as an area that we would have jurisdiction over. Second area is entry into Federal Bay as a marker. And then where the third is on the agenda is the line. So the fallback of the fallback is what you see here. And Lauren, can you continue to follow up on how that final recommendation was from the board?
That was from the board.
Okay. So my point is, I believe that Fort William, looking at their numbers, is a losing proposition because
it's not. No, it's not. The mayor says they're making money out of it.
They are. Yes. Okay.
And she's offered the entire back-end system that they use to be able to charge for free to us. I'm not saying we're going to do it. I'm just saying be aware that we wouldn't have to develop a transaction.
So the original numbers that they came out with was what was just getting up and running, the number of boats that were anchored there. I believe that when I looked originally, I think they had the first year to be quite large. And I continue to look at, I drive by there. However, I'm willing to be open on this one, but I think we need to know specifically because this is much different than the sewage and the federal thing.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So does everybody understand that as well? This is just mortgage. That's the designated anchorage and not the
Yeah, just on the issue of revenue, I've always been not quite shocked, but I've always found that the expenditures for me as I've seen them reported versus their revenue has indicated that it is lost. Now, it may be a loss report, maybe that's worth the cost, given that it certainly looks better than it did prior. Some reports that are out there that's being taken, but it really isn't worth that sort of money. So I guess I'd like to hear from Portland what kind of money they are making out of this. And in addition, given the small size of the proposed to us, I don't see how we can come forward with that. I guess the question you have to ask yourself, what are we trying to achieve and what this new disclosure is?
I think it's better we want to stop the air on boats.
That's what we're after. Yeah.
That's really that's the goal. Okay.
Valerie, questions, comments?
Lauren, you said you have had some opposition from residents in South Carolina. Are you able to share what the points of opposition were?
Well, not really, but I think if you have a public information meeting, then you get your
Jason, seeing as you're kind enough to come here.
Yes, sir.
Might I ask you a couple questions where you can speak on behalf of full commitment and entire responsibility for the port's future?
Absolutely, that's what I do every day.
If anybody else has any other questions, it might be handy there.
Yes.
So my question is, the proposal back from the port where the line was designated, the DAA would begin within Federal Bay.
Yeah.
Can we appeal that recommendation?
Oh, there's no necessary. I agree with that.
That was you.
So
I should have known. I could have taken the other.
There's multiple versions of that. It's not going to go to Twin Islands. It will never go to Twin Islands. But you can put a line. When we did the initial drawings, we included both Deep Cove and Bedwell, and we drew multiple options. That option is the least problematic for you because there's already structure there. There's a 5-knot buoy. There's the shoreline supposed with signage. You can extend the DAA to the end of the inlet, so around where the corner comes in. It wouldn't be a problem. And to address, sorry, I didn't see you in there.
Just on the yard, bro.
the boats moving out of the DAA. Port Moody's DAA was designed specifically to encompass the entire area of anchorable water. So it's sized specifically to not allow people to anchor outside of it comfortably. It's either too shallow or there's too much current. In your area, anywhere north of the opening of the bay is far too deep and there's far too much current and tidal movement for anybody to anchor successfully, unless they're hanging right out of the shoreline, and you can't create the DAA, enough of the DAA to stop that. So it's a minimal.
As you draw that up, the one area that I was looking, and I think you're dealing with this now, but I wanted to ensure that we didn't push everybody in the Ferret Cove, which is relatively sheltered. There's a couple of shallow crossings that you get a few boats on, but we wouldn't want to push everybody out of Redwell Bay right into our South Carolina North.
Yeah, no, I understand. And you can adjust it accordingly. There's nothing written in stone. The only thing the court's concerned about is that the DAA is set up in a way that it doesn't interfere with people's ability to move. We can't restrict in any way, shape, or form. The federal government does not allow us to restrict the movement of vessels within the port. That's anywhere in the port, any vessel. And in the report, and I understand how this might have been a misconception, Laura, when you talked earlier, it says that we don't support this constitutional. I read it this morning. What it's meant to say is that constitutionally, any mariner in any piece of navigable water in the country can put an anchor down to shelter from the weather or effect repairs. And it doesn't matter what rules you put in place or what DAA you put in place. Nobody can stop a mariner from anchoring for a reasonable amount of time. The rub is reasonable amount of time. So your DAA, if it functions like the one that Port Moody has, will restrict anybody from say, staying longer than 4 days, for instance.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we can adjust it.
No, I appreciate it. So the secondary piece I'd ask, and this builds on Councilor Dave's question, is there an increased ability with the DAA in place to be able to control dumping?
No. Dumping is entirely in the purview of Transport Canada. We have no ability to enforce dumping. And from 23 years of doing this job, I can tell you that neither does Transport Canada. Regardless of what Transport Canada has on the books, it is almost impossible for you to prove that boat A dumps. Because the sample requirements, as per their own policy, you have to have somebody floating off the boat and taking samples and then boarding the boat with them.
Yeah, although I will say I've heard about a new lock that goes on the outside of the boat that you could require potentially with an ADA that would lock the actual outflow.
Yeah, that's Michelle. I've talked with Transport Canada a lot. So one of the things I told Michelle prior to her meeting with you is that there is potential. Now I'm an operations guy. I'm not a use guy.
So you're speaking on behalf of the...
Oh yeah, the whole history of the port and the whole future.
Exactly. We will quote it.
Exactly. Make sure everybody's listening. So there is potential if you want to include that as part of the requirements for anchorage, that you can say within your requirements. So I brought a piece from Port Moody. So one of the things that says here, and when Port Moody was created, I was one of the enforcement officers that helped get all the boats out of there. Has discretion over any sub-license agreement, including access to the DAA, the duration of the moorage of any boat, fees and charges, maintenance standards within the DAA, and removal of any boats from the DAA. So essentially, you can say to any boat what they have to come here. So whether it's insurance, or whether it's a lock on their overboard discharge, or whether they have to have a tank, and it's up to you to decide how you're going to go and ensure that that's enforced and collect that. And if you don't mind for a second, hopefully, you can see we're pretty informed. So please. Yeah. You have a unique, Bedwell is unique in this area. It's one of the very few charted recreational anchorages in the harbor. It's one of the very few safe charted recreational anchorages in the harbor. In a way that English Bay doesn't provide, Port Moody doesn't provide. Deep Cove is a nice place, but you're hanging on the edge of the hole. You have an excellent place for people to come and enjoy recreational activity. And as a port, we're responsible for the safety and security of the port and the smooth running of trade and ships. And we encourage this sort of activity that you're doing tonight, is the formation of these agreements to preserve the public's ability to enjoy the port in a safe fashion, but to control who's using it.
Another question, just because a lot of people come in with or without paying. You know, we say that there's no pump outs working anywhere. And I know that at one point in time there was private service, and in the States there's a lot of private services that effectively could come into Bedwell and actually go Roosevelt and they'll pump out and they do it for a charge.
Yeah.
Is that being done anywhere in Vancouver?
There was a guy in Falls Creek that was doing that, but he didn't get enough business, so but there is potential as a group. So you've got 3 DAAs, and Port Moody, there's nobody going to Port Moody.
Yeah.
There's no boats in Port Moody. And we monitor Port Moody from a distance. But together with the 3 DAAs, you have an opportunity to put some revenue somewhere. And you also have 2 public docks. Public dock in Port Moody and the public dock in Simcoe. And anywhere where you have a public dock and a bus stop, you've got persons who want anchor. So to give you a little context for your community, there are currently 87 derelict boats in our jurisdiction. There's 1 in your bay right now, son.
We can't get rid of it.
Right. Well, no,
Well, not sunk. That's the one I'm not sure. There's 2 that's just sunk.
Well, the 2 in your bay, we're picking up in about 4 weeks.
The ones that are underwater, or
The ones that are underwater.
Yeah, there's still the one at the hazard at the end.
At the very end. That's a difficult one to get
Yeah,
past.
but can you give me your personal commitment to have that gone by Friday?
Yeah, you bet. The one at the Pond, yeah, we've got coming in 4 weeks. We're setting up a guy who's going to go around the whole area and take a bunch of boats off. So that one's going to disappear. But going back to pump out stations, the Americans do it really well. And I was down at the Seattle Boat Show just 4 months ago, and they have this program where the state government funds pump out stations. And from a revenue standpoint, that's a revenue generator, right? You generate money from the DAA and you put it in the pump out stations, and you require vessels to put a seal on their overboard discharge, which we can show you how to set up. We do have some vessels every day. You've got some. And any one of the public docks could support a pump out station. It's just a matter of putting it in.
So if we can, Laura, just make notes to include that in your conversation and see what our options look like, that would be great.
And, you know, and in fairness to the voters, for a lot of them, because you come in here at the pump out not working, because it's a good point, right? And you've got full tanks, you've got a real problem.
Reed Point doesn't have, but it's private, right?
It's private, but it's terrible, it doesn't work out that many.
And the other one I know is sitting in Ladder.
Yeah,
That was far away from you.
so, but Reed Point did not want the private service to turn it down in Mount Powell, that was in Vancouver, wanted to come out and do it. I mean, in the States, you come in from the weekend to being out, and the little boat comes up to the side, and just every time automatically pumps you out. When you go, you don't need to worry about it.
They hand out kits, all the boats to allow you to adapt to
Like, so are you saying there's a federal program
No, in the States there.
in the States?
So
they actually
Transport Canada right now is going through a significant change with C-64 coming through, the REVA Act, the RED, but basically it's an act that allows for Transport Canada to remove all these vessels. And I also have through OPP, through Michelle Plum, the group that deals with the sewage issues. There's potentially some synergy there where you're setting up the DAA and the port's doing its part, and then Transport Canada is doing its part, and the city's doing its, or the town is doing its part to set things up. I think that you might be able to get some traction to get some funding for that from Transport Canada.
That's right.
I have a long list.
We want that to hear when the boat's pulled up.
And your worship, I would say, as Jason mentioned, I met with Michelle from Transport Canada, and she said that they are, Transport Canada is probably 2 years out from any type of regulation for a designated sewage area. And she's going to provide more information to you in the form of materials that we can give out to voters and post on our website and things like that. So that's what I'm waiting for. And then it's going to bring the report back to council to advise them that meeting. But that's really good to know that we could do something like that through the AA.
Yeah, it's potential because you have control other than the right to navigation and making sure that you don't interfere with the movement of vessels. You have control over that AA. You know, how many anchorages you want? How do you want to configure the anchorages? How you want the vessels to set up when they arrive? What kind of insurance? What kind of identification? How they want to pay? If they're going to pay, like I met with Vancouver a few months ago, we talked about the same thing. They just walk the boats off. They don't know.
They're also quite concerned with boats when they come across a lot of loss, which is why they kind of have to approach us and give us the heads up.
Which is exactly what we consider. That's exactly, they're there. There's 13 of them right now, I believe. We counted a couple days ago. They're there because that's where the dock is. So if they lose access,
Just another point of seeing larger boats like
Coco, you got to count this.
Yeah, I know.
Coco. Not much
Coco.
looking out for saving obviously cash not tied up in Vancouver or in Cove Harbor.
and $1 million
And
between that thing and that barge.
yeah, they got hit by the barge. But anyway, that and other boats as well. And I think we're going to see the larger ones that figure out, hey, this is a very nice place to be.
Yeah. Recreational boating of all kinds is exploding. And so we were a commercial oriented entity and we're going in the complete opposite direction. We're putting in speed limits, we're dealing with pleasure craft. And only because the amount of pleasure craft right down from paddleboards that are coming across the depot, the pleasure craft that are coming through are increasing exponentially. And we can't keep up everywhere.
Both the cost of fuel come around the corner, they don't go as far, and this is the ideal place to go.
Yeah, I've been coming here for 23 years. It's a beautiful place. It's a great place.
Did you get your boat pumped up?
Yeah, we put it in our own pump up station. Yeah, all our boats are fully tanked.
Yeah.
We wouldn't get away with it.
Yeah, just on the issue of derelict boats, sorry, how many did you say are in the ports?
87.
87 now.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's a factor that people bring up periodically in your predictor tonight as well. Is that an area where you expect more time and attention to be devoted?
Yeah, Transport Canada's new act, so Bill C-64, gives Transport Canada and eventually through Transport Canada us an enormous amount of power with derelict boats in the future. It solidifies what isn't there under the CMA, which is the Canada Marine Act, which the Port Authority is governing under. It was never designed for this sort of thing. So I do absolutely see more enforcement powers coming, both through the Port Authorities and through Transport Canada. The problem is I don't really know how long it will take Transport Canada to wrap their head around how C-64 will work. And I don't know when the federal government will finally finish working on our contravention program for ports. So it's a 2 to 3 years, I guess. I would say within 3 years we'll be up and we'll have ticketing ability. But see, the problem with the port is ticketing ability or not. The port's mandate under the CMA is the protection of trade coming in out of the port. So that's why when you see us here, we don't spend an enormous amount of time here because right now, for instance, we're spending all of our time in the inner harbor just trying to keep ships moving without running the things over. So Transport Canada through WAVA is going to be, I think, a revelation with the way that derelict boats operate. And that's all through OPP, so the Ocean Protection Plan, which Minister Garneau was talking about and Prime Minister Trudeau introduced. That's what's bringing all of this new legislation in play, but it's very early in that, and Transport Canada is still trying to wrap their heads around how they're going to do it.
So as far as looking through the
We're ready to go.
public
And
information,
vote.
Yeah,
Bring both, bring them.
I do. I have a whole stack for you.
just 2 final comments for you. One, so you agree with the kind of estimates for the park in terms of the cost of removal of the vessel? I mean, I just don't see the something.
I don't recall what it wrote.
15 to 30,000? 10 to 30? 10 to 30?
Yeah, we're going on for a small vessel, it's about $10,000 by the time we
I
get it.
heard 15 for the boat that's on the rocks. Just for practice.
So what are the ballpark figures?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we've gone as high as 100,000 in certain instances, like big old fish packers in the river that require disassembly right in the water. And with the little one that sunk there, it should be 10,000 to 15,000 at a time.
Okay, and my final comment is if I had to introduce a new enforcement act on the water, I think we'd be a great candidate. Visit the boats.
We allow you to have heat.
Yeah. And they won't let me carry it up.
We're nicer here.
I'll drive a boat.
Any other questions from the gallery?
Are they, in Port Moody, did they, put buoys down for people to tie up to, or are they just anchoring?
Just anchoring. They have a really nice, Port Moody is beautiful for anchoring, so it's very shallow, so they put marker buoys on the four corners to designate the area.
Right, okay.
And so the area is designed to keep close enough to the docks that people can anchor between, and then there's a channel that goes into Newport.
Right, okay.
Jason, thank you.
Thank you.
One more. On my part, there's one more.
Do you have anything to do with the moratorium of divorce in South Carolina?
Not me personally, but the Port Authority does. So our real estate department is responsible for that.
And we've been under a no work thing for many years now.
Yeah, it's completely outside of my area of responsibility, and I couldn't even speak to it if I wanted to. I don't really.
That's Naomi Duff.
Yeah.
We're working closely.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so, we have already received it, so, all in favor? So moved. 5.3 is off the agenda, 5.4 is off the agenda. Tom, thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
5.4 is off the agenda, so number 6, report from mayor and council committee representatives. I don't have any reports, any council reports, all good? Nothing on the bylaws, correct? Thank you. And for correspondence, can I move receipt of the correspondence, please? Seconded?
Second.
All in favor? So moved. Motion items carried. Any new business? No? From the gallery, public question period? Obviously, time again, please, Dave.
I'm asking on behalf of Jim is, I recently heard a rumor, when we did talk about it, that Shay has had contact with the RCMP to give out tickets around the lake, and that's probably off a little bit. Can you explain that?
Sure. The long story short, it was not our regular RCMP members, and they did request her to go off-site. She went with Doug, so it wasn't an issue of safety. There were two, and it won't happen again.
I mean, we're not going to get any revenue from that?
We have issued tickets, and we issued them that day as a result of that RCMP request, and we're dealing with them on an individual basis.
That was in Port Moody?
Yes.
So Belterra issued tickets to Port Moody?
No, to Port Moody. People parking in
People
Port
in
Moody.
Port Moody?
Yeah, the request of the RCMP. It was a fiasco, Tom show, DEFCON 11 out of 10. It won't happen again.
If anybody likes a video, I've got 5 minutes.
You know what it looks like when
Coming back and that man, motorcycle police.
All right, sir.
On the news today, Transit said that Bowen Island has a pilot project which is basically stealing what you were trying to do, I think.
No, it's different.
It's different?
It's
Okay.
different, yeah. It's not stealing at all. In fact, they were on this before I was. This has been in the works for almost a year and a half, I think. And what they are doing is they are leaving the existing system in place and trying to do ride hailing on top of it. And so there's an app that they're testing out where people can download the app and try to do a degree of ride hailing on top of the existing system. They see ours as totally different, and what's interesting is that they have been talking about expanding our model, and they appear to almost already be writing off the success of the Bowen Island model They're waiting till September when they get the first results on the Bowen Island pilot coming in, and that's when the RFP will go out for the service providers for our model. And, but no, it is a different, more unique, they don't mind failing to their credit. They failed with their C-SPAN pilot, where they try to do ride sharing for C-SPAN employees on the North Shore. So they don't mind failing at all. They don't care about the budget. They're just trying to learn all the time. And we are the next one in line, and we only are limited by their resources to manage the Bowen Island first steps in advance of our RFP being put out. Any other questions? Peter?
So the last town hall meeting, there was a question about the access to everybody parking between the tennis court and the yellow gate. And considering the mandate was to get the park people not driving into our community, tying up our roads and parking in our areas, we never had a proper answer about why the public gets to park there.
Starting, I think Bernie will have this one. So basically you're asking for financial anywhere.
Well, we don't, but a number of us wonder why they're allowed to, why it's not residents only.
It was originally, the
Oh, okay.
was residents only, and then got switched over to open parking.
Oh, okay, so since my first recommendation was made to council, I asked Chief, some of the spaces open, so we wouldn't overflow so much to Belterra Bay. And also there's enough space for them to park there, so I didn't see a reason to cut like all of the parking out. And you were here too on the town meeting that we did about parking, and we saw that a lot of people spoke up and they didn't agree with closing every single spot. So that was a way to leave a few spots open just in that one area that's quite safe after the 30-kilometer zone, the 30-kilometer per hour zone, and we've got plenty of space there.
But we don't
But it's very limited though.
We don't understand why we're providing parking for people coming to the park, and of course, since there's only a few spots, all these people are driving in and out, finding the spots full, because I walked through parks there, where all people going to the park.
Yes.
So
Well,
it creates a lot of extra traffic, way more than the cars that are actually there.
well, the whole idea was to not make the whole village resident only, right?
Why?
It was to be, you were here.
Wasn't that part of the original policy that we approved, was it would be limited there?
It would be limited, and that's why, like, you know, we did it at one place, right? That's what was decided, so.
Can I ask a question here? My understanding was originally that it was no parking there, it was resident only there, and it was switched to, it wasn't.
No.
Well, it was open parking before. So, is there, my point is the whole village is.
Let me get Lawrence comment. Lawrence, sorry.
When the changes were originally put in place and they started implementing more time, that area would be a good area to leave open, because there are residents who also have people who come in and need a place to park, and that it's not impeding, it's not causing extra parking in front of anybody's houses directly. Along that stretch of road, there aren't resident houses. We're more concerned right now with where the traffic is being pushed up Belterra Bay Road and in front of people's houses, and that's what we're focusing on next for signage. So that area wasn't deemed to be a high priority.
It never was. So, the fact that the signs went there for no parking wasn't, it was never the recommendation to begin with. It was always the recommendation to keep those specific spots open.
Well, when I've driven by and looked at it, it's not the people with residents only stickers on there, it's park people, it's all park people.
That's okay.
So I don't know why.
And that was the idea, not to make resident only throughout the whole village, right? Keep a few spots open.
Ron.
Isn't that still encouraging outside of it as parking around the parking spot? I understood it was no parking. In the beginning, it was changed.
No, it was changed because the signs were put that wrong. Like I said, considered the recommendation, we saw that spot would be a safe spot because, like Lorna said, away from the houses after the 30-kilometer an hour sign, and that's what we're going to do.
Let me ask you a question. So where would a resident park if they wanted to go to Jardin?
A resident?
Yeah.
Oh, they can park right in front of the park. right on it.
And then they go all the way around and go to the boat park.
Or on Bedwell Bay, or on that spot where we're talking about.
On that boat, it's pretty good.
Well, the problem is that on busy days, that open parking is totally full of people going to the park, so the residents are cut out of that because the park people fill it up right away.
Well, they have all Disney, right? Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, you'd have to go all the way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to reiterate what Carolyn said, that was the conclusion that came out of the town hall meeting we had, that was specifically directed to park. That we did not want to make it residents only, and I appreciate that's not everyone's view, but that's clearly the view of.
Well, many people I know, have a different view, and we're surprised to see that we are still accommodating people going to the park.
Well, if you're not going to do residents only parking, then you're accommodating people from outside the village in various places. The point was, where it is now, it's not in front of homes. A little further up it is, so it's less bother where it is. I take your point, and I think it's a valid one. I had a look the other day when I came through, that parking was all occupied, and there was space in Metro Vancouver's parking lot right beside it. So I had people on down onto my parking. So I take the point, but there's clearly the preference for the village.
I just didn't know who decided that. Myself and many people I know were quite opposed to having any park people come and park on our roads.
Yeah.
And so somebody somewhere decided, a lot of us don't know who it was. Who actually,
support what's there now.
whether it was a vote of council or who it was.
The report that Carolina produced is the one that was voted in favor of by council.
Yeah, well,
It's Carolina's report.
okay.
And working with staff.
As adopted by council.
So staff will be doing these changes as well as we continue to try to manage the parking that's being pushed. I agree that encourages people to come to Belcarra. Fort Moody just passed a $30,000 approval to put the pylons all around Fascinac Lake, so you can't even park there illegally anymore. That's going to start going in imminently. Anywhere that they have no parking.
Oh, okay.
So $30,000 is plastic pylons going, covering all the no parking areas, so that's going to essentially push people further into Belcarra, looking to find places to park. Again, this is democracy. This is what the vote was. So, staff trying to deal with, especially on Belcarra, they wrote the long part, and that needs to be taken care of. And then with consistent feedback and democratic, if enough people come back, I hope people will reconsider.
I think part of the thing as well is that we've been waiting for a sign, a bigger sign from the park that was going to be a three-way stop that directed people straight forward. If you're going to go to the park from the trail, go down Thompson Way, don't turn right. So there's no parking down the way, go straight. And I haven't seen it there. I did see the sign, but it's really small.
That's not theirs, and I did see a draft that we think that's from the kayak club.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I have seen a draft of their indeed sign that will be coming.
So hopefully that will.
But I think also as a point, I mean, Fort Moody is a really good example of what's happened around South Net. You look at this video that I have, they removed the signs, the parking signs, tell the police, but there's no parking signage.
They took the sign down?
This is,
Some
problem somewhere else. So I can see it down at the end of Shoes on the long weekend.
Yeah.
Of which there's a number of party goers now that I had to inform them that the police were on their way without a minor drinking because they've now found that Bay at the end of the marine. And there were 2 cars parked basically in the cul-de-sac. Every other spot was still going up. And we're just going to see more and more being pushed from outside to here. And the other thing I think that we have to be cognizant of the fact is that there's one developer's got 17 high-rises that basically are proposed for the Fort Moody area, and all of those people don't have a backyard. And I think that this is one of those cases where you really need to nip things in the bud, because when you try after the fact, the problem that I have with what we're doing now, I'll just put it on the record, is we say no parking from here to here. So we've now taken away from those people the right to park there. So what do? They go down the road. As soon as they go down the road, we now put more signs up that says you can't park